What's going on, Star Wars fans?
Hello there.
We are live. It is Wednesday. Welcome, everyone. Appreciate everybody jumping on here tonight. Mike and Nick will be along shortly, but me and Derek are starting it out. So you have just the two of us, which is going to be
stuck
fun.
with us. Yeah, you're
That's
stuck
right.
with us.
That's right. So put your comments in. Welcome, everyone that's here. Let us know you're here. Please put your in the comments, say hello, tell us where you're from, tell us how many times you've seen Mandalorian and Grogu, all sorts of fun things like that. So we're going to be covering a whole bunch of stuff. Darth Plagueis lives. What's going on, dude? Thank you for joining us. Let's see. We have a whole bunch of things to cover tonight. I know Mike talked about a lot of things. We'll rehash some of those as he comes along, and Nick gets on here as well to talk some theory. But there's been a lot of news for just the Mandalorian being out. There's a huge Starfighter leak we'll talk about. I know Mike put a whole thing together for that, a whole short together for that. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out. We'll talk about that tonight as well. We'll talk about, unfortunately, how bad Mandalorian and Grogu dropped off this week, but it is what it is. Jessica, hello. Hi, Holly. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being here. Nick and Mike will be along soon. So what else we got in here? There's a bunch of different theories that have been going around as well for Ahsoka. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But I think what we're going to do to start. So how much hate have you? I got a couple things, unfortunately, but you know what? It is what it is. I mean, me and Derek, predicted 2 billion, but if hopefully they'll make 500,000 to at least break even.
Here's my thing with that too, is like, you have to make bold predictions if you want to be in the spotlight. Like, here's the thing. Like, I really legitimately thought that it could do it, and it's not going to come close, and that's okay. I love the movie, but here's the thing. If that had happened, you and I would have looked like, we would have gone viral because of it. Instead, we're sitting here with egg on our face, but it's fine because at the end of the day, I love the movie and I still think everybody should see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the part of it. You know what? That was my opinion. That was your opinion. Oh, well, I'm not going to, I had one guy telling me how ridiculous it was and this and that. I should get off YouTube. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I'm going to hang up my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
F it.
It's always the people that don't have any followers and have no video.
Yeah.
It's like,
he's got like 28 people, he's got a video up and I don't even know what it is. It's pretty crazy. So, hey, we got a whole bunch of people on here. So jump in here. Tell us where you're coming from tonight. Say hello, please. Mike and Nick will be on in a little bit. They're running a little bit late, so we're gonna start out with just Derek and I. So Derek, what I wanted to talk about a little bit is since you are our parks guy, and there was a bunch of new stuff that came out when Mandalorian and Grogu dropped. What have you seen or research that you've done in reference to some of these things? I've seen a bunch of stuff online where people are loving some of these adventures, going back several times. So the guest strips, Fearless, what's going on? Nathan, thanks you guys for joining us. Derek's going to talk about parks here for a little bit. Mike and Nick will be along. So go ahead, buddy.
So the biggest thing, of course, is the revamp and the new scenes that are in Smuggler's Run. So Smuggler's Run is you're flying the Millennium Falcon. I got to do it right before they changed it one last time. I'm super excited. I have not watched any of the footage because I want to experience it for myself, but I have watched a lot of reviews on it. So like ones that weren't showing the footage. And the biggest review that I see is that there's 3 positions that you can be. There's 6 people that go into each cockpit, and then there's 3 positions. There's the pilot, the gunner, and the engineer. In the old version, the engineer was worthless. Like, you didn't have to do anything. It was boring. And if you got that, and like if it was your first time and you got that, it was a letdown. And really kind of anytime, like the only time I wanted to be the engineer is if I wanted to get footage of the ride for like social media. Otherwise I was like asking them, like, can I be the pilot? And most of the time they would let you, and they'd just make you wait an extra turn. But with the new scenes, everybody says that the engineer is more fun than the gunner now. There's a lot more things, there's a lot more sequences. And what really blows my mind is how they were able to make this happen. So if anybody has watched like the Imagineering story on Disney, if you haven't, you should. And it talks about especially, I think it's the 5th episode of it. They're talking about how they made Galaxy's Edge and how Smuggler's Run didn't work a week leading up to the opening day.
Wow.
And you know, they were working with like NVIDIA and all of these gaming companies and Unreal Engine to make this thing happen, and it wasn't working right. And people were just working around the clock, and they thought they were going to have to delay the opening of their #1 ride because the other ride wasn't open. Could you imagine opening a new land and there's no ride?
That's crazy.
That it would have been wild. So the fact that they were able to, one, retrofit this with something different, make it not only work, but work better than what they had, and made it more fun for guests, and they're still using the new movie and characters that people love, is incredible. So what I'll say about that when it comes to the movie and the parks, I think the movie is doing exactly what it needs to do. Again, do we wish it would have made more? I mean, I just love Star Wars. I'm sure Disney wish it made more, but even if it breaks even what it is doing, and the numbers we don't see are the merchandise. And I've said this so many times. How many people are going to Disney and riding this ride? How many people are buying Mando and Grogu stuff? There's so much merch. There's Lego merch. There's Funko Pops. You name it, it's out there, and people are buying it like crazy. Why are people not going to the theater to see it? One, because there's so many people that hate on it, and they're just going to wait until it comes out on video or it comes out on streaming, and it's going to do kind of like Solo. Whereas I think this is a much better movie than Solo. But what it's also doing is when people go to the parks and they haven't seen the movie and they're riding that ride and then they're seeing Mando and Grogu walking around, they're going to get excited about the movie. So whether they go to the theater and watch it, oh well, they're going to watch it on Disney Plus. It's going to be a massive, massive boost to Disney Plus. That I will put money on. You know, maybe I'll be wrong again, but I know I'm not going to be wrong on that one. Like, I knew 2 billion was a pretty big stretch, but I wanted to be viral. As far as the other things in the park that are really cool, they have the new droid show, which they've tested out before, but now I guess it's a longer show. The biggest issue I have is that all of the really cool stuff, like them changing over and using all of the favorite Star Wars characters and getting rid of the old timeline, that's only in California. I'm a Disney World person. I love Disney World. But they don't have it there yet. It's easier for them to launch it in Disneyland. Eventually, it'll come to World. We don't have a date on that. Hopefully,
that was my question. It will eventually come there.
I mean, hopefully. I know that they were using this as a test, but I don't foresee how it couldn't be doing better. The lines that I've seen, I love watching like live streams of people in Galaxy's Edge. The live streams and the pictures and the videos I've seen, there's lines backed up to see Darth Vader and to see Luke and Leia and all of those favorite characters. So it's working. That is absolutely working. They knew it was going to work. I think a lot of it is just logistics and maybe trying to squeeze out that last dollar from the old stuff. Why not? I could definitely see, because they even changed like some of the gift shops. So I could see them getting rid of a lot of the merch in Disneyland, sending it to Disney World, and trying to sell off all of that merch from the original timeline, and then pop in all the new merch. Because especially Disney World is the park for people who travel and people from out of town. Disneyland is a local park.
Okay. Well, and to step back a little bit about, Mandalorian and Grogu dropping to Disney Plus. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed even after this weekend, because I think this is the last weekend it's in IMAX, or maybe even last weekend was. But I think people are going to be disappointed they didn't get to see it in IMAX. Yes, it's a great movie. Yeah, I'm going to go see it, a bunch more times in the regular theater. because it's going to be out of IMAX. But when it comes to TV, it'll be awesome. But people are going to be like, damn, I wish I would have seen this in IMAX, because there is such good cinematography. The music is great. I mean, even if you turn up your sound system at your house, it's still not going to be like sitting in the theater and watching this, 30-foot screen by, 30-foot screen, so it should be pretty cool once that does drop out of there, and come to home, which will be nice. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mike is here.
Oh, it's Mike. And as Mike gets geared up,
my entire computer.
Oh no, he's frozen. We can hear him. He's frozen in carbonite.
What just happened?
Oh no, there. Oh, you're back.
Hello.
They have a little bit of a
my
lag.
entire computer just blew up.
You're good now,
gentlemen.
How's it going?
I can't hear you.
What's
okay,
up?
let's try this one more time.
Poor Mike. All right. Well, hopefully we'll get Mike back. I will say I did not watch it in IMAX. I am going to go. I can still watch it Friday, right? Oh no, I can't watch it Friday. So. I'm gonna have to go. Oh shoot, I'm gonna have to go tomorrow. Because I think it's on the 5th, and I have I have hockey games on Friday. Or maybe I'll go in the morning. I don't know. Well, I'll figure it out. I have to watch it in IMAX at least once. But I watched it in a regular theater. It wasn't anything crazy, and I loved it. I had so much fun. Again, I was the only one in the theater when I was there, because it was at like one of those. Awesome. Yeah, it was at a Flicks Brew House. Oh, hey, Fearless, how's it going? Do we miss anybody? No, April's in the chat now. So if we miss somebody, hello. And Nick's here. Hopefully he works.
What's up, Nick? Little Grogu salute for you.
How we doing,
gentlemen? Welcome. We got a lot of stuff to get to, but Derek was I don't know if you're listening. Derek was going over some of the stuff for the parks, and we've been talking a little bit about Mandalorian and Grogu's dropping out of the IMAX this week, which will sort of stinks, but it is what it is. And it dropped 69-70%, which is pretty crazy.
Pretty rough.
But it's I wonder if it'll be a little bit better this week because it's not in IMAX and more people will go to see it, because even I have the movie pass, and I think I talked about this last week, I still had to pay. But like after it gets out of IMAX, I won't have to pay, because I do the monthly thing. So I think some people are going to go there too, instead of spending the $30 or something dollars, especially if you take a family of 4, that's a lot of money, and if you're going to get popcorn and sodas and candy and stuff like that. So, I think it could, bump up a little bit, but it is what it is. So, how are you, Nick?
Oh, I'm good. Happy to be here.
Nice.
I like that. I like our topics of conversation today. So,
yeah, we definitely have a bunch of them for sure, which is pretty crazy. All the leaks for Starfighter, which is pretty cool. We'll get into that a little bit, and maybe there. Let's see. Does it work?
Whoa!
Hello?
Take 2.
There
He's
we
back.
go.
Let's try this again.
Okay. Welcome, Mike. We're going to give you a little salute.
Salute from Grogu. Best salute of the day. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you getting
So
multiple
everybody's
salutes
here.
a day, or?
Yeah, when everybody comes on now, I'm giving them a salute now.
Well, Mike gets multiple a day.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He said best salute of the day. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
Getting a lot.
He just walks around. People are saluting him as he walks by.
You guys
got a bunch of people.
You guys don't get that? Wait, that doesn't happen to you guys? Or people just salute you guys on the regular? That's like a daily occurrence for me.
He just walks upstairs. Dad salutes him. Goes to the grocery store. He gets saluted.
Yeah. Well, everybody stops what they're doing, drops everything in their hands. Salute.
Tim, Michelle, and little Bestie. Thanks for joining us. So Derek was talking about I'm going to go ahead and take these out of the way so they're not in Derek's face. Derek was talking about the parks and stuff, which was pretty cool. Some of the things that were going on, and obviously, and I know you talked about a bunch of the stuff that we're going to talk about tonight. But big drop in Mandalorian and Grogu, unfortunately, is going to go out of IMAX. But like Derek and I were saying, hey, you know what? It didn't make $2 billion, but it was still a freaking awesome movie.
Wait. Not yet.
No.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, we're still holding out hope. Hey, you know what is a $1 billion thing though? It's the new George Lucas museum that's about to open soon. So like September, and they did a first look.
Yeah.
They did a first look this week. It's gonna be incredible. We're gonna have a Naboo speeder, like a full size.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be great. And I know, obviously, nobody wants to see Star Wars do bad. First weekend, Mandalorian and Grogu exceeded expectations, which was awesome, and we were all celebrating. And then this week, it goes under expectations. But the 69% that's being thrown out there, of course, is the number that it dropped. But that's like being extremely blown out of proportion, because most Star Wars movies, or most movies in general, have a drop of, on average, like 60%. So it was a little more than normal, but it wasn't like holy crap, end of world type thing. Like that movies have a big drop off in their second weekend. Is it bad still? Yes, but that's like 69 is kind of, funny at some points.
Well, well, and you also have to think, like, it is an interesting time to release a movie, because it's the end of the school year for most places. And like, you can be like, oh, that's not going to matter. It absolutely matters. It makes a difference. Like, there's people with graduations, there's people going on vacations. There are a lot going on. And with people knowing that the movie is going to be in theaters for a long time, or they can just wait till it comes out on Disney Plus, that's tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think I was listening beforehand. I think, Derek, you said this. It's going to make its money back, which is really all it needed to do. I don't think Disney was expecting this to be their big movie. And as you hear these Disney insiders now talking, they have a lot riding on Starfighter, but the Mandalorian and Grogu is more like a welcome home to the big screen for Star Wars, like a reintroduction to the big screen. And obviously we all loved the movie, and pretty much everybody who did loves the movie, as it has the highest audience score since the original trilogy. But yeah, it's not performing as well as we hoped it would, but it's still not performing. It's not Solo. It's not a bomb. And it's going to make more than Solo, and Solo costs double to make. So it's got to be a lot more of a happy situation.
Yeah, it's definitely going to increase, and that's what we were talking about a little bit. Once it goes to Disney Plus, I think people are going to be a little disappointed that they didn't get to see it in IMAX or in the theater, because it is such a good cinematic movie, I think. And they did such a good job, and we all loved it. But it's part of it. It is what it is. And but one of the first questions Holly said, "Did you get a bunch of hate?" I'm like, yeah, pretty much, especially for the $2 billion thing. People were like, just get off YouTube. I'm like, okay, I'm just canceling my channel today.
Yeah.
But
you're done. You're done. This is the last stream ever.
That's right.
We gave him something to talk about. Like that's fine.
True.
Love or hated, never ignored.
Well, the other thing too was the merchandising that Derek brought up. It had the third biggest merch sales of any movie in AMC theaters. Like the Star Wars just sells stuff. It just does. Like it sells stuff like crazy. And when you add Grogu to that, I mean, you end up with crazy people like ourselves buying all the popcorn buckets and everything. And even when one's shaped like an AT-AT, you still got fans buying it.
That's right.
But being the third most merch sold of any movie ever is still pretty impressive.
Yeah, and you have to think at what point, like, Disney has not put any like freak out moments. Sometimes, like, I remember when Solo came out, they were throwing extra marketing out, trying to get stuff, trying to get any hype. They're just like, it feels like Star Wars is back regardless, because the obviously fan reaction has been so positive, and you look around and everything is Mandalorian and Grogu. They had the Burger King collab, they had the like Nilla wafers thing, like they've just been doing everything Mando, and it's, as a Star Wars fan, awesome. You go into stores and you see Grogu themed things and Mandalorian and Grogu themed things. Like that is the coolest part of having Star Wars in the big screen, is it's this actual experience even in the real world, and you see everything is Mando and Grogu themed, which is awesome. Yeah. Now here's a great question. Guest strip, is it guest rips, guest trips? I don't care. I like it either way. Did they account for all the toys that were sold that offered the free movie ticket with Fandango? No, that is not a factor. Well, if they cash it in, it is. But if you bought a toy and you haven't cashed it in yet, that is very likely too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't do anything about the merchandise because there's so many movies out there, that make whatever. Okay, John Wick. There's no merchandise for John Wick. You might find a T-shirt somewhere, big deal.
Yeah,
but I mean, there's nothing else out there that's making. I looked that up too. I think Pokemon was like the biggest movie, the biggest merchandise seller. So
yeah, it is. It's like biggest franchises in terms of just merchandise sales and stuff, and Pokemon is number one, and it's like not really even close, and it's because of the cards. The cards sell them billions upon billions of dollars.
Gosh,
like Pokemon has movies, but they're not like big theatrical releases. It's mostly just the games and the cards, but mostly just the cards. Number two on that list is actually Hello Kitty, which still blows my mind to this day. But the other thing I did see that I wanted to bring up to you guys too was this. It says Hollywood is roaring back. So this is a big win for movie theaters in general, because it says 6 films in the past 10 weeks have opened with over a $75 million domestic opening weekend.
That's
so
crazy.
It's the most since 2019, so pre-pandemic numbers. So 2026 has been an incredible year for moviegoers, just in general. Obviously, The Mandalorian and Grogu is great for Star Wars fans, but just for moviegoers in general. And it hasn't even reached like the peak yet. We got Supergirl at the end of this month. You got Spider-Man and the Odyssey, and at end of the year is Dune 3 and Avengers Doomsday. So 2026 is gonna bring theaters back to reality a little bit, not just with Star Wars for Star Wars fans, but just in general, which is really cool.
Toy Story is going to do crazy.
Oh yeah, Toy Story too. Yeah, for sure.
Well, and that's just it. There's so much other stuff coming out, which is still going to be good. But I mean, again, it's Star Wars. People are going to see it. People are going to watch it on big screen. They're going to watch it at home, and that's it. It's not going anywhere. All these people that say Star Wars is dead and it's dying and all this stuff, it's not going anywhere. As much as and even in the thumbnail, I mean, we have Grogu, who I think is going to be more, because again, as Mike has said before, and we'll get to that portion of this program shortly, but Din's gonna die and Grogu is going to be this. Yes, you said it first.
Does he die in this movie? That'd be horrible.
Grogu is going to be the connection here to Thrawn, I think, once we get everything situated in Dave's movie and things like that. And I saw a thing today that I thought was sort of interesting, where is Grogu the new Nick Fury? Where everything, Nick is, the catalyst that holds all of this stuff together. And it's not far from the truth, right? I mean, that's why you're laughing, Mike, because it's really not far from the truth in an aspect here in Star Wars, where we're going to get Grogu has ties to everybody. And as we see in this movie, again, his healing power, his power to his force power with beings, with animals and things like that, where we're going to get the
beans. I was like, does he grow like magic beanstalk beans? You said beans.
I
was like, what did I miss in the movie? Like, does he have magic beans? Sorry.
So I think we're going to be good to go. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I really hope now Grogu's first words are, "I'm putting together a team." But to that point, though, when you brought up Star Wars is dead, it's really funny actually, because it's not just the fact that we're coming off the backs of Maul, Shadowlord, and Andor season 2, arguably the 2 best live action and animation, respectively, projects we've gotten in Star Wars history. Crazy, but it's also the fact that Star Wars just returned to the movie theater like 17 days ago, and it's dead now. Like, it just returned. If you're only watching the movies, it just returned. It's not dead. It actually is just come back less than 3 weeks ago. So I don't know about that Star Wars is dead conversation. I don't know what people are looking at, but all I know is we got some insane Starfighter leaks, and Star Wars could not be anything further from dead, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, for sure, and we'll get to that, because there's some big stuff going on there. But my thing again is just with the stuff that's going on with Mandalorian and Grogu, and the ties that we're going to get with Ahsoka and when Dave's movie starts getting, produced, and, once they start moving in on that stuff, it's going to be interesting. And even John said that his season 4 had stuff to do with Thrawn.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. So I think we're still going to be getting some good information.
Yeah, and the reason why all that stuff wasn't in the movie, obviously this movie still affects all of that with the Hutts being taken out, like we talked about last week. But in terms of Thrawn, you have to assume that with the season 4 of The Mandalorian, the people who are watching it have seen the first 3 seasons. And they understand, and Ahsoka too. So they understand who Thrawn is, and they understand the Shadow Council and all that great stuff. So when you're doing the movie, you can have those aspects. You can have Shadow Council members be there for the fans who can, be like, oh my God. But for the most part, you can't really throw all that into a 2.5-hour movie and explain all of that stuff that's in 6 seasons of television on Disney Plus. But I have been hearing a lot of talk about people saying that Mando season 4 is still a go. I honestly think it's completely gone. I don't think it'll ever happen. But what do you guys think? Do you think we'll ever see a Mando 4th season?
No.
Nick, say something.
I kind of thought we would before I saw the movie. And now I think if there's anything to do with them, it'll be a part of a different story. Like there's this like trending belief over the past couple of years that Filoni's going to get a movie. All these people are going to get these movies that kind of like put together all these Mandoverse shows and stuff. I think that's where we get the rest of their story. And the more I think about like the ending of season 3, the more it seems like kind of a bookend, and the movie doesn't really touch it, doesn't really lead into another season. If they were to make a season 4, I don't think you need to see this movie to like hop into that story. But I think it would probably trend towards like Din and Grogu being a part of something bigger than The Mandalorian, which is kind of like the culmination of maybe whatever happens in Ahsoka season 2 and whatever we've teed up with Skeleton Crew, and The Mandalorian for that matter. So I don't think it's guaranteed that there's a season 4. They definitely wrote one, but it might be like, as Jon Favreau said in that interview, like they might be reserving some of that material for other projects, i.e. whatever kind of movies come next.
Yeah, I agree with that. Derek?
I mean, I think I said my piece with all of it.
I think that we will get some of what John had in somewhere. I don't know if we'll get a season 4 of Mandalorian. I think that they'll bring Mandalorian and Grogu back, obviously, probably in Dave's movie. But I think some of the stuff that John had is, as much as they're collaborating on stuff, I'm sure he had some really cool ideas. I think Holly said in here too, that Johnu was supposed to be in season 4 as well, possibly, which, so that could have been something that David already, had talked to, John about. And they were like, okay, let's put him in because he's still alive. The first guy, he's not there, but John, he's captured, but he's still alive. So we could get some information from hhim. What's going on, Max Rebo and Alexander? Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Mike? Derek, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and you also have to think like with Mando, you have Pedro Pascal who's wanting more money, getting to be a massive star. And, they've had a little bit of back and forth with that. You have a character who died, or like an actor who died. And you have like when you get these shows and they get this success, it's hard to keep them going. It's hard to keep everybody's schedule going because, they have other projects they want to work on. And it's one of those things where, okay, if we can do this sparingly and use him like sprinkled him around. I mean, look at Bail Organa. Like we couldn't even get the main guy for a few episodes. So like that's what, like, to me, they have a plan. They know what they're doing, and they know, like, to me, and being like having worked in the music industry, the dollar sign that you're having to pay some of these actors now is getting very, very large. And that is really hard to justify somebody who has a helmet on for the whole movie.
Yeah. Well, to that point too, like Din and Grogu, as Nick said, season 3 is an ending. It's like literally zoom in on Grogu ending. And it's a 3-season arc of Moff Gideon coming in, trying to take power, all the cloning stuff, and there's an end to that. Moff Gideon dies at the end. They reclaim Mandalore. Like it's come to a close. So in order for us to see those characters again, I think it will be involved in a different story, like a Book of Boba Fett season 2, or a Skeleton Crew season 2, or an Ahsoka season 2. But I doubt that because there's a lot going on in Ahsoka. But even with the other characters in The Mandalorian and Grogu, we already know Zeb is going to be in Ahsoka season 2. So these characters will be spread out, but they'll come back together for a Dave movie or whatever is coming down the line. And as we've heard over and over and over again these last couple of weeks, is that there is a plan. From Disney insiders to Jon Favreau to Dave Filoni, there is a plan, and they're knee-deep in it, and it's been going on for a while now. So everything from Starfighter to Ahsoka season 2 and everything in between, I think, is on that similar trajectory. Maybe they're different spots in the timeline, but they're eventually going to somehow, some way interconnect and connect in various different ways, even possibly Maul season 2. But I think, I don't think there'll be a Mando season 4. If anything, they'll show up in a different show as a guest star, like in Boba Fett, or they'll be in the next movie.
Yep. I agree 100%.
When Grogu has to bring the Avengers together.
Exactly. Brandon Baker, what's going on? Thanks for being here. Well, and that's just it, because Grogu is connected to Luke. He's connected to Ahsoka. He's connected to Din, obviously, the Mandalorians, the New Republic, Boba Fett, Fennec, all these people, he is, because, again, I agree with Mike. I don't think that Din's going to be around much longer, but Grogu will be, and Grogu will get everybody together to fight against Thrawn. I don't think that Grogu and Thrawn are actually going to fight, obviously, but and what does Thrawn do? Thrawn tries to divide his enemies. So if he can divide some of these people at this point, he's definitely going to get some wins in this next movie, or in Ahsoka. He's definitely going to get some wins here, and you're going to see him go in, win, and then when these new movies come out, it's going to be, hopefully, and I don't know, do you guys think that this is the first of a trilogy, or will Dave's be 3 movies?
Well, that was something I was about to ask you guys somewhat. I think we touched on it last time, but like, if what you see as Dave Filoni's movie, I know, like, was it Celebration or a D23 or something a few years ago is when they officially announced it and said that it would, like, kind of bring the whole Mandoverse together.
Yep.
If that is, like, all they've got in the works right now, how many, which it isn't, but, like, how many projects up to that movie do you see happening? Like, one project would be Ahsoka season 2. We already know is happening. Starfighter doesn't have anything to do with it, to our knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So, like, are we ready for that? And if it came early, then I would think it would be, my answer to Ron's question is probably a multi-part thing, maybe a trilogy, because, Ahsoka season 2, I think we can assume Thrawn's basically going to win it on that side of things. If Dave's movie continues that, right? Because you don't just get, like, a couple wins and then Thrawn loses. He's going to have to be a big threat. But anyway, how many projects do you think come between now and that movie, knowing that we don't even know if they've started any sort of, like, pre-production, that sort of thing? And how much would it take to sort of shore up our streamline of taking all these stories and putting them into the theater, basically?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I don't really know what the timeline would look like on that. I feel like you would need, Ahsoka season 2 is going to give us a lot on just the New Republic and Thrawn, but you need something to tie in to the Skeleton Crew kids and something to tie into Boba Fett. I guess the Mandalorian ties in Boba Fett with the twin huts being destroyed and the underworld stuff. And I guess you could honestly, you don't need a full season to tie in those people. You could just bring them into the movie and be like, hey, heard you needed some help or whatever. Like, it's not that hard to explain what's going on there. But like you said, it's sort of a timing thing. When would they have done this movie? I know Jon Favreau wrote the whole 4th season of The Mandalorian while filming the 3rd season. So is it possible that Dave Filoni wrote his entire movie while filming Ahsoka season 2 a year and a half ago? I guess we don't know, and we won't know until it happens. But I could see them either at D23 this year or Star Wars Celebration next year being like, look, it's the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. Let us show you our crazy plan we've been working on for the last 2 years. Something like that.
Well, I mean,
I totally agree with you. Go ahead.
Yeah. What I think is going to happen anyway is something's going to happen with Thrawn and finding out that Palpatine's coming back, or he has to go back to his people and he's going to take Grogu with him for whatever reason. And I think that's going to be why, or either Grogu goes with him or chase him, whatever. And that's why we don't have Grogu in the sequel movies, and that's why we don't have Thrawn. So Thrawn is either running from Palpatine to do something else, to build up forces and to make a longer timeline, and Grogu somehow goes with him. We've seen it with Ezra.
Yeah.
Why could it not happen with Grogu? And it would be a very amazing explanation. And it could even expand the universe of movies, shows, everything else.
I like it. I like it a lot.
And I think, like, to your question or your statement, Nick, what are we going to get in between? And Max just said something about Dave is too busy writing the fate of Morok, the first dog that Embo has. So I think we'll get a Tales of probably Bounty Hunter, whether it's going to be Embo. I would say probably about 75% that it's going to be Embo and something there, and maybe somebody else, obviously as a bounty hunter. But I also think that we're getting to season 2 of this, and there is a lot of rumors going out right now that this is, going to come to fruition, which will be pretty awesome. And that's going to also tie into what we have coming up in the next few months, and I think it'll be interesting to see how we tie into all this stuff, because again, we do have Thrawn right around the corner from At-Atten. We have all of the credits there. We have Dathomir. We have all of this stuff coming on. And I think we need a little bit more information. And I think that Skeleton Crew could give us that information to tie some more of these things together, and then bring these kids into the movie, as maybe not, I guess they're preteens now. So as teenagers or, late teens, early 20s, to help out as we go along. So I think that would be pretty awesome as well.
I agree, because like very similar to, let's call it maybe Andor or any other Star Wars show or any other show, for example, like the first season gets you to care about these characters, and the second season allows you to broaden out a little bit. Yeah. So like having a second season of whatever it is, Skeleton Crew, I doubt they'll do a Book of Boba Fett too, but like, a second season where it can be the thing you already care about and then kind of blossom into other aspects. Mandalorian did it. Season 2 is much more like outward than season 1. Yeah. And that's kind of like maybe what you need to sort of tee up the movie. But
and on the map, isn't At-Atten fairly close to Mandalore?
Yeah, and Dathomir.
Yeah, and Dathomir.
Yeah,
they're all a lot of these planets that are very important to Thrawn and what he's up to, and in the Mandoverse, are all very close to each other. Mandalore, Dathomir, At-Atten, even Wayland, which is where Mount Tantus is from the Bad Batch. Of course, very important in the Heir to the Empire trilogy, Legends, that is. All these locations are in the same little square on that map. So it seems like, Skeleton Crew would be an easy one for Ahsoka season 2 to set up, because if Thrawn is either winning the war or even losing the war, and he needs more resources, that planet is right there. And it's held now under control of the New Republic. So him winning that planet over would be a big win for him and a hurt to the New Republic. And it would involve these kids in a weird way. Like, it's not just Thrawn takes over a planet. It's Thrawn takes over a planet from these kids' perspective on that planet and how that affects them. Because honestly, I love seeing the perspectives of certain, like seeing the Empire's perspective of something where it doesn't look like the Empire is really the bad guy from a certain point of view. Like when in The Mandalorian season 2, when Bill Burr's character Mayfeld and Din are transporting like the Rhydonium across the bridge and they're fighting these pirates, and then they come in and they're heroes to the Empire and everybody's clapping with them, and you feel like, oh my God, and you're like, oh wait, these are all stormtroopers, and you're like, oh my God. So seeing something like that from sort of Thrawn's perspective and the kids on Ad-Atten would be really, really cool. And it could easily be set up with Ahsoka season 2.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then I think that's something that's going to, come to fruition once we get Ahsoka. There's going to be so many questions that will be answered, and I think then there's going to be so many more questions that aren't going to be answered as we go into next year, which I think is going to be cool. And I think you're right. I don't think it'll be. I mean, we might be able to get some things from that D23, but next year on the 50th. During Star Wars Celebration, I would almost guarantee you they're going to talk about Dave's movie and whatever else is going on right now that we don't know about on the big whiteboard. What he has going on with these other directors that are going to be bringing us some of these movies and things like that along with his. So I think that would be pretty cool.
Well, for Ahsoka season 2, as excited I am for it, and I am, it's going to be Ahsoka. Like, that's the show. As much as we're going to get a war in our Star Wars, it's really just going to be the beginning of a war in our Star Wars, because half of the time, probably more than half the time, it's going to be spent on Peridia with Ahsoka, Bail Skull, Mortis God stuff, hopefully Abeloth. Like, that's going to be the main focus of the show. So if we're going to get a exploration of this war that Thrawn is starting as the heir to the Empire, it's going to have to be in something else. Ahsoka season 2 is just going to be the tipping point of that war, a big battle probably over Dathomir, and that's it, just one battle. So it's going to just start the war, but that's going to be it. Akbar versus Thrawn in some sort of battle for Dathomir or above Dathomir, and then it leads into an all-out war. But that's just the Battle of Yavin. That's just the start of this all-out war, because Ahsoka is going to be about Ahsoka.
Well, and that's going to be cool too, that battle, because we know that both of them survive. Akbar and Thrawn. So it's going to be like the Maul and Vader fight.
Do we know that Thrawn survives?
We don't know that Thrawn survives, but we know that Akbar.
That's true. Well, but I don't think that they're going to kill off Thrawn and Ahsoka.
Unless they bring him back to life with Night Sisters.
That's very true. But then he could
bringing him back.
Throwing him in the pool.
Derek, can I throw one at you about Grogu and Thrawn?
Yeah, please do, especially after I bring up Ad-Atten and Mandalore being right there.
Yeah. So we don't know what Thrawn thinks or knows about the members of the Shadow Council, right? Thrawn is purely attracted to the Empire because it is his best means of power to do his thing. We're talking current canon situation, not heir to the Empire. He's got worries outside the galaxy with his people. If he shows back up and probably gets some wins, but also is not down with the Shadow Council, or thinks this First Order thing is dumb, or thinks this necromancer thing is crazy, but if it's working, I got to play my cards right, like you said, Derek. Could Thrawn actually get in the middle of necromancer by stopping the Shadow Council and its cohorts from getting Grogu?
I think that could be a huge play for sure. And also, in the books, he's gotten pissed off about the money, where they've moved, they took things away from his projects and gave it to other projects. What about all the ships that are on Exegol?
Right.
Maybe if he found out about that he could have had more support and this bigger naval fleet, he would be livid.
Yes.
He would absolutely be livid. And that would be reasons for him to flip, or just be like, I'm not helping you anymore. You're not getting this little dude, and I'm out of here, and my people are going to come back and blow you to smithereens. Or I really think is that, you know, the Chist are fighting the Grist, and it's going to be a big problem, and he has to go home, and Grogu either goes to Mandalore to rebuild it, or he goes with him.
Well, how incredible would it be if, like, let's say we get a big old Heir to the Empire movie, or even trilogy, which would be nice. But let's just say it's a movie, and it's sort of the climax of this movie. In the third act, there's this huge battle going down, and Thrawn gets a transmission from, like, Eli Vanto, who's like, "We need you back home. We're getting attacked." And he has to just leave. So, like, the New Republic doesn't win, or maybe they think they won, but Thrawn just has to dip and go back to his home world because they're in trouble, and he's the only one who can rescue them. And because all of this leads to the First Order. We know that. I'm watching The Force Awakens right now, by the way. I love The Force Awakens. But it all leads to to Force Awakens, to the First Order, to Snoke. Right now, it doesn't look like that. Right now, it looks like Thrawn and Thrawn all the time. Something drastic has to change, and getting called back home or having something to go back to with the Grisk or something along those lines would be a reason for Thrawn to leave, and he would leave immediately.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's going to happen is we will see that at some point, because he's not around. We're going to have to get answers to a lot of these questions. And then I forget what you were talking about yesterday, but you know, we need answers for Luke as well. And we can talk about that in a minute with Starfighter. You know, if we get some information for what's going on with Luke, the hermit, you know, and everybody's all pissed off because he's not this, you know, Jedi that we thought. You know,
Well,
so go ahead.
Well, no, my biggest question mark, and Grogu is, of course, as we know, very important towards Project Necromancer, even though Moff Gideon was trying to do his own thing and keeping secrets. But the biggest part and the biggest piece to all of this is still Omega. There's 3 seasons of the Bad Batch for one reason and one reason only, to set up the fact that Omega is the only person that we know of in the galaxy that can transfer midichlorians from one host to another. It doesn't matter how much midichlorians you have, it will be deteriorated, it will be a lot less, whatever. There will be something wrong if you do it without Omega. So where is she? Like, where is this character? Why is she not coming to live action yet? What are we waiting for? Will she be in Ahsoka season 2? My biggest question mark in the Mandoverse, out of everything, is the character of Omega, and when she's going to show up and how important she'll be, because she's the key to Project Necromancer.
Yeah. And nobody else is talking about it. And that's what I like about us, because you bring it up quite a bit, and we've talked about it quite a bit with Omega, and she's going to have to be in something. So she's on that whiteboard right now. I guarantee it.
100%, with a bunch of lines being drawn straight to her.
Yes. Because we're going to have to figure out what's going on with her, and if she is the key to Palpatine, you know, or what was going on. So as much as, you know, people are talking about Grogu this and Necromancer and things, but I think that Omega's part of Necromancer. Grogu, they were just hoping that, you know, maybe they could get some good blood out of him. He's going to turn into some sort of warrior, whether it's Mandalorian or Jedi or both. But yeah, you know, Omega is the key to all of this, and it's going to have to be brought up. And I think it will be in live action. I don't think that they're going to do that in a cartoon. At least I hope not. I mean, I'd enjoy it either way, but I'd love to see her come in as, you know, as that, whatever she was, 21 years old at the end of Bad Batch or whatever, as she's, you know, now a pilot, but she still has that blood in her, and somebody's going to have to figure that out. And we're going to have to see her again so that we can get some of these answers, you know, answered, some of these questions answered.
Well, the connection's already there. The connection's already there.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say we have a poll up right now.
Okay, cool. The answer is already there, and it's Hera Syndulla, because the two of them meet in the first season or the second season of the Bad Batch. They set up that relationship for a reason, and then at the very end of the show, she joins the rebellion as a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And who else is a rebel pilot but Hera Syndulla? So that relationship's already there. That's why I think she could appear in Ahsoka season 2.
And they're also kind of like, she would be someone who would shift more toward the resistance side, which is all the Adelphi base types and that sort of thing. She could be heavily involved.
Well, my question to you guys is, wouldn't it be crazy if, like, the reason that she hasn't been in anything is because the Empire already has her, and they're already using her blood to create this, and like some big rescue mission in some future piece of content has them like rescue her like they rescue Echo in season 7 of the Clone Wars, and she's like all strung up and her blood's being taken by the Empire.
Well, I mean, the part that I struggle with that, like I've thought of that too, but like it doesn't, whatever they end up doing, it doesn't work, right? Like Palpatine's fried.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they make Snoke work, but they do. And maybe that's like what they got out of it. But if that worked for him, why wouldn't it work? You know, I don't know. So that's kind of my question about it, is like the way it's all panned out, does that imply that they don't ever get Omega if she's the only one who can do it, and yet it still didn't really work? You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, or did it work a little bit and Palpatine's just too powerful for it? Like it just didn't keep, because he can still use the Force as a corpse, but he's like not alive. It's a weird, you know.
Well, it'd be really cool if like it was working and there's these two bacta tanks side by side, one with Omega in it and one with a growing Snoke body. And it's like, you know, the usual motif of just like the bar going up like at 80%, at 99%, and then they unplug it. So Snoke's not completed and they save Omega. And then they're like, oh my God, we did it. And then Snoke comes out and just starts lasering them. Something along those lines would be really cool to like, they almost got it. They created Snoke, but we've saved Omega now. So it can only be one. And it's Snoke.
Something it's like the Highlander. There can only be one.
Yeah, exactly.
I like Max Rebo's idea that Omega, Grogu, and Luke's hand are thrown into a blender.
But right, like who's, you know, it seems like those are the three players. Luke's hand, confirmed. Grogu, Omega. Like, who gets used for what? They already took blood from Grogu, right? Like, and is Snoke, like, are we going to stick with the strand cast thing? Like, is he just a meat puppet, or does he have some kind of free will? Like, how does this work? And
I do like, no, I was just going to say, I do like the idea that he is being completely controlled by Palpatine, because as I'm watching The Force Awakens, when Kylo says, he's talking to Vader's helmet and he says, I feel the pull to the light. Please help me, grandfather, or whatever. And in Rise of Skywalker, we learn that Palpatine's talking to him through Vader's voice. And it's very Mara Jade in Legends, as Nick always brings up, how Palpatine's in the back of her head. And that's the exact same thing happening to Kylo. Palpatine is calling to him through Vader's voice as his grandfather. And he's like, oh crap, my grandfather needs me and wants me to finish his job. So the idea that he could be doing the same thing through Snoke is really cool. I just don't know how that would work, I guess.
Right. Yeah. But all that to say, like, you know, Omega is kind of a big deal for them. And I don't know, where does it end? Do they want to keep her? Do they want to use her up? Like, I don't know. Will she ever get caught? You know?
Well, she's in her early 40s during this time.
Yeah.
This time.
She's like,
so it's not like she's good. Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I definitely could see her coming in Ahsoka, because that would be fantastic to tie her in at that point. You know, so now we have an idea of what's going on, and now they can sort of start to explore that a little bit more in some of these movies, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
if you have Omega come in.
Yeah, her and Cal Kestis, they'll be there.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna happen.
Well, Cal Kestis news. There was some Cal Kestis news this week. Jedi 3, there will be another time jump. Not that crazy of a surprise, but a time jump that brings you to the original trilogy at least. So getting Cal Kestis' perspective of the whole original trilogy timeline, and then of course setting us up for 5 years later, again, another time jump being the Mandoverse, where he comes into live action. And I looked it up on my live stream yesterday. Cameron Monaghan is pretty much the exact age that Cal Kestis would be at the time of the Mandoverse right now. So he is like not just the face and the voice, but the perfect age for live action Cal Kestis.
Yeah, we'll definitely see him.
Of course. If we don't, Star Wars is dead.
That'll do it.
That'll be it. I'm out. Me and my poncho are getting out of here.
I do think whether it's him or Omega or anybody else, like, obviously the Rebels crew is a big deal, but I do think Ahsoka, we're going to see like a firm on-screen like notice and break of like, all right, we're now considering being the resistance. Because obviously we kind of got hints in Ahsoka where, Hera gets court-martialed or whatever, and you're like, and Leia has to kind of stave everybody off. But I think now it will be an unavoidable, they're not going to do anything, calling all rebel scum who wants to get out of this job. Yeah. We got to fight this thing. And I think like the more characters that people identify with that are a part of that will make it hit more and like because I honestly don't know if like the general casual Star Wars fan or audience goer like got that during the sequels, that the resistance is not the Republic, like that sort of thing, and that like Leia runs it and Akbar like it's kind of an interesting premise that I think didn't really get touched at all. So
yeah, no, absolutely. What I think too on piggybacking onto that is the Mandalorian and Grogu movie might actually be a part of that too, because of the Adelphi base crew, obviously. But now they just learned that the Hutts, who they've been getting intel from, are working for the Empire. And in season 3 of The Mandalorian, they did not give Carson Teva the resources to go help the people on Navarro who were being attacked by pirates. But this time around, I guess they weren't given the stuff needed. But the Adelphi base, probably against orders, went and saved Din and Grogu on Nal Hutta and killed the Hutts while they were at it. So there is a group of non-rule followers, I suppose, and Hera is a big part of that, and so is the Adelphi base as well. But you're going to see now, the evidence is all there. Thrawn is back. Ezra is all the evidence that you need that Thrawn is back, and you're probably going to see the New Republic still be like, nah, now we're good. And that's when, that split will happen.
Yeah, and I think that's why he'll get a win at some point, even though he's big enough and smart enough and intelligent enough to come in and do that, but he doesn't have that many resources. I mean, he's got, one Star Destroyer with a bunch of dead stormtroopers that are walking around like zombies, and then he'll have the Night Sisters. But I think that he's going to have to grow a little bit more and have some more backing to come in. And I think Atten could definitely help with the money. But I really like what you guys were talking about, because I didn't know that if it was Derek. We're talking about, the money that was exchanged or taken from, things that he was doing and put over here and things like that. Yeah, that's going to piss him off. So that could be really cool if they bring that part of Legends into this with the money from Atten. And, we get to see a tie-in for that season 2 of Skeleton Crew, even if it's just a cameo towards the end, of Thrawn or what else is going on in that universe, which would be pretty neat.
Yeah. And I actually think that Thrawn could get some considerable wins with all he has right now because of how complacent the New Republic is, right? Like, I think he could go. I don't know how they set it all up and at that, and I'm sure we'll see. But like, I think he could just walk in there with a Star Destroyer and outmaneuver them, especially with how complacent and unassuming they're behaving as a unit. And I think some of his early wins are just going to be like tactical steamrolls with very little resources, and that will become his problem that he needs to,
because he's coming back to the Shadow Council, but the Shadow Council is not that powerful. They got a bunch of stormtroopers, but not many. Who knows what Pellion's army looks like? Who knows what everybody else has? And most of them aren't even on board with him. I actually, as you were saying that, Nick, was thinking like it could be that Thrawn is the reason that the New Republic misses the First Order's rise. Because if we learned anything from the first 3 seasons of The Mandalorian, is that this sort of Shadow Council is divided, and Moff Gideon doing his own thing on Mandalore with the cloning facility, that's his own thing. So him doing that is pretty much distracting from the Project Necromancer stuff, from the Thrawn stuff. So when Thrawn comes to the forefront of the problem in our heroes trying to take him down, then they're going to be missing still the Project Necromancer stuff and what's happening behind curtain number 2, Well, Thrawn is trying to attack them. And then it's almost like when Vader pulls down the ship in Kenobi and rips it to pieces, but it's the wrong ship.
Mhm.
That wrong ship is Thrawn. And
Yeah.
the ship that jets off after it is the First Order. So it could be like we're looking over here when Snoke is rising to power over here.
Yeah.
And Thrawn might just be a distraction.
And the people who are the members of the Shadow Council may not all be like, our plan is the First Order. Like you just said, Gideon's not planning on a First Order. You know, Coin doesn't seem to be. He's kind of doing his thing, kind of lame
Collecting.
style compared to Moff Gideon. But like, it could be just a few of them, like Hux and maybe a couple of them who kind of have this, you know, vision that's been given to them through the orders of their dead emperor, right? Through the Sentinel droids or whatever. And that might be a very contained thing where they're like Derek said, like if Thrawn found out that Hux, is it Brendel Hux? Or is that Brendel Hux has like a shitload of resources and Thrawn's like the most capable one there to lead them and like wondering what the hell's going on. I could also see Palpatine being like, in my state right now, until I figured this out, Thrawn is actually kind of a threat to me, you know? So screw him. Fleet's not ready.
Yeah, you have Project Stardust, and if you're considering that, you know, that was Krennic and Tarkin and Palpatine, and Thrawn was pissed because he wanted the TIE Defenders. So really, like if you think about it, had Thrawn gotten his way, and Krennic had not been there to like change the money, they would have had more way more TIE Defenders, and they probably would have been able to beat the rebel forces.
Yeah,
that's true.
I mean, Thrawn, when you watch Rebels, you're like Thrawn, and you read those 2 trilogies, you're like, Thrawn was right. if they let Thrawn be in charge, then they'd be just fine. It's sort of the, you know, Palpatine's hubris that gets in the way.
Yeah. Hey, we do have some royalty in the house here. The Boba Fett John from Clan Mandalorian is here, so want to welcome him. Appreciate you jumping on here. If you guys haven't already, Sunday mornings 11 a.m. Central Time, John and Brandon have Clan Mandalorian, so check them out. It's a great podcast. Mike and I have both been on there before. 2 great dudes, Star Wars, Legos, a whole bunch of stuff. It's really great. So appreciate you jumping on here, John, and gracing us with your royalty. I appreciate you. So I wanted to, because we're already an hour in. We definitely need to get to the Starfighter stuff, which is pretty crazy. So
absolutely.
If you where'd Derek go?
Hi, Derek. Derek says, "No Starfighter for me."
I'm out. Oh, wait, he wrote something in here. Said BRB. Yeah. So so there's a whole bunch of some leaks that did drop for Starfighter, which is pretty cool. I'll go through a couple of them, and then we can start talking about them. So right now, Mia Goth will play a force-sensitive warrior who wields a lightsaber and works for an infamous warlord, who is going to be played by Matt Smith, which is going to be pretty interesting because we know that he's only there for a few weeks. So it'll be interesting to see what his part is, and if he's just there to like get things started and then go to the background, or if he comes in and gets killed off or something like that. So that'll be interesting. But although many rumors pointed to her being a Sith cultist, sources say that that's false, and her character is more of a mercenary in the style of Baylan and Shin. So with her own goals and secret agenda. So that could be definitely interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yep.
Well, the last line of that says it involves training someone. So it's sort of her want for getting an apprentice, and that being Flynn Gray, who like the reason why, because we were all wondering why are they chasing down this kid. It seems like it's because she wants an apprentice, and that kid is going to be said apprentice.
Yep. Yeah, and that's going to be an interesting thing because everything else that's coming that came out is going to rely on some of this stuff that's going to have to happen, You know, if these are true. The rumors about the character played by Flynn Gray would also be true. His mother, Amy Adams, is force sensitive and hands him her lightsaber before dying, sending him to seek out his mysterious uncle, a washed-up pilot and tormented war hero haunted by his past, which is going to be Ryan. So that's pretty cool too. And it also sort of puts the same type of thing, you know, is this going to be the first scene and we see Amy and then she's gone. And then also
we better not.
For me,
she's a babe.
Yeah. This for me sort of solidifies that I don't, unless they turn it, because she's not, you know, Mara Jade's not in canon yet, and we really don't have any story for her. So yeah, they could possibly do that, but if they keep some of the truth in legends about Mara Jade, I don't think that this will be Mara Jade. There are many people with red hair, but I think that right there for me sort of solidified that she's probably not going to be Mara Jade, which I'm a little disappointed in. She's one of my favorite characters. That book choices is amazing. Is such a great, and she has such a cool background with Palpatine and then with Luke. So you know, that's a big thing for me. So, but what do you guys think about that?
I think there's only one red-haired person in the entire galaxy, and it's Mara Jade.
I hope.
And but she's gonna get mic'd. She's gonna get mic'd.
Yeah, she's gonna get mic'd in the first 5 minutes of the movie, but that doesn't not make her Mara Jade.
True, and I would hope that if they do that they would have to bring her back, or they'd have to do some other stuff with her. They're not going to bring in Mara Jade because I think she's just such a great character in Legends that, you know, they bring the lightsaber in, and maybe she does it. Maybe halfway through the movie and we get a little bit of her and then she dies. We don't know yet, but I would love to see her in a main role. But this, you know, go ahead.
Well, the way I would see it, if this is indeed Mara Jade, which there is zero confirmation of that in this leak, just wanted to put that out there. If this is Mara Jade, the way I look at it is like Alec Guinness's Obi-Wan in A New Hope, where it would be really funny if she had an alias like, oh, Ben Jade. I wonder if that's Mara Jade. But where he's at the tail end of his story in that movie, and then we get 3 more movies of a trilogy which is the prequel trilogy. You get 7 more seasons of the Clone Wars with Obi-Wan and a Kenobi series. Like, it could be we get the end of her story first, and then we get the whole story with the Mandoverse and Luke and all that stuff beforehand. And as we've all talked about before, I think Mara being brought into canon can be done the same way that Ahsoka is brought into canon and has such a strong influence on Anakin's turn to the dark side, even though she's not in a single movie. So Mara can be utilized the exact same way. Ahsoka lives through the prequels. Ahsoka lives through Revenge of the Sith. Mara could live through the sequels, even though she's not in them, and then maybe die to whomever in Starfighter. And this would just allow us to get a prequel to the character. So people who watch Starfighter go, oh, Amy Adams, she was great in Starfighter for the 5 seconds we saw her. Let's get more of her in a backstory involving Luke. That would be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But
and that's possible. Go ahead, Mike, or Nick, go ahead.
How old is Flynn Gray? And would his character be the same age?
So we've done the math on this before. This is 5 years after The Rise of Skywalker. And I believe Flynn Gray is 12. Okay. I believe. And
so the 7 years before Exegol.
Yes.
What's the gap between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker?
Well, it would be 5 years before Exegol. 5 years after Exegol.
Right. So what's the jump between 8 and 9?
So I believe the entire sequel trilogy is 1.5 years. And the biggest jump is between 8 and 9, which I think is close to a year.
Okay. So he would be born prior to The Force Awakens.
Yes. By a lot.
How long has Luke been missing when we get to The Force Awakens?
I think it was 9 years, maybe 8 years. I forget. I think it was 8 years, and if you do that math, 8 years plus the 5 years after the sequel trilogy is 13, which is how old this kid would be.
Okay.
12.
And he was cast when he was 14, so that would
So
make
if
sense.
Mara, okay, so he's 14. So if Mara
Oh.
Jade goes sort of killed or missing, or something happens between Luke and her, where he thinks she's dead,
Pregnant.
and she's pregnant during that,
Yeah.
goes off and has the kid, the math would exactly match up with the events of Starfighter with this kid's age.
All that being said, I don't think it's her.
I love it.
Fearless says, "Why is everybody so crazy?" She's a fantastic character. I mean, the way she plays both sides, and not that she plays both sides, but she comes out as the Emperor's hand at first, and then ends up as Luke's wife. I mean, that's just
It's
such a cool thing.
But now with the added of the sequel trilogy and what happened
True.
with Kylo, she would add so much to that, because Kylo Ren is hearing these voices in his head that are Palpatine. Like I just mentioned, Vader's calling out to him, but it's Palpatine. So if Mara is still hearing Palpatine, then when we watch Luke lose it on Ben Solo, it's not the first time he's experienced that now. He's already done that with his maybe wife at the time, and having to deal with that. So, and maybe Palpatine's getting in Luke's head too, for all we know. Like, we don't know. Palpatine was getting in Anakin's head for what we know. So we don't know what Luke's going through, but he might be absolutely losing his mind, because Palpatine's in the mind of everybody that he knows and loves. So he's like, I gotta get out of here. I'm out of here. And jets off to Ahch-To. But it would add that added bonus of not only Luke having a wife and happy life for a little bit at least, but having that all crumble to the ground, not just his nephew having a couple bad dreams.
Yeah.
So then,
and I love her. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ron.
No, I was going to go on something different. So go ahead.
Oh.
You were going to play on the mic. Yeah.
I think like all that, I think we all want to see Mara Jade someday. I don't know if like her being that in Starfighter will happen, but I think like there's also an interesting concept of, if she's not Mara Jade, then who the hell is she? What's Amy Adams? Is she in her 40s?
Yep.
So like, does this line up with a survivor? I don't think so. Does this line up with Luke's Jedi Temple people? Maybe, but still she'd be like in her 20s or 30s over there. And I've thrown out there a few times like I think it was The Last Jedi kind of teed up that like Ben didn't just like kill everybody there and it was a done deal. And the Force Awakens visual dictionary kind of alludes to the fact that like he had to kind of hunt people and become the Jedi killer, like Jedi hunter, whatever. And I think an interesting like way to get into, say, another trilogy, for example, that Simon Kigberg's apparently working on, would be like investigating not only where the galaxy's at that time, but like people from Order 66 up to Luke's temple may have gone off and not gotten involved and kind of had their own like Jedi sect in their own little thing, which would be an interesting thing for like Rey to explore. And like, maybe they wouldn't always agree, like kind of a weird thing, the same way that like Darksiders do it, Knights of Ren, Sith, whatever. And so if she's not Mara Jade, I think it's equally interesting actually to find out like if she's one of those people, how does that work? How many are out there? What is what do these different like delineations of Jedi survivors create? Like Cal Kestis is very different from other Jedi survivors. Like, and she's a new version of it, kind of the first one we would investigate, who would be directly like not as directly tied to the Skywalker thing as Mara Jade would, but she would be directly connected. And that would be sort of a vehicle for the film of stuff that we know.
Yeah, 100%. Like you just said, Amy Adams and Mia Goth, even if they're characters we've never met before, don't make sense for their existence of being Force users with lightsabers, because they're too young. So even if she's not Mara Jade, she could still come from Luke's Jedi Temple. She could still have been trained by Luke Skywalker and have escaped the massacre from Kylo Ren. there's just so many questions when it comes to having anybody that can wield the Force and a lightsaber this late in the game. Because where did they come from?
And shit, like it could be. We still don't know the fate of Ezra. We don't know the fate of Ahsoka. We don't know the fate of Sabine. We don't know. There's a lot of people.
Cal Kestis.
Yeah, Cal Kestis. There's a lot of people that, I mean, even with Mia Goth, like we don't know what's going to happen to Shin. We don't know what's going to happen to Balin.
Ooh, April. What if Amy is connected to Cal Kestis?
Ooh, red hair.
Oh, their child?
You have a sister.
There is another.
Yeah, Mike, you're very wrong. You said there's only one redhead in Star Wars. You are wrong.
One redhead female, yeah, one redhead.
Okay, all right.
There can only be one of each gender.
You're gonna do my girl Yaddle like that?
Does she have red hair?
Brown,
I think so.
Brownish.
It's like blonde.
But how cool would it be if Mara Jade dies in the opening of the movie? First
Not
of all, that would be
cool at
awesome.
all. Mike.
Okay, hear me out though. Hear me out.
How cool would this be?
How cool would it be?
That's red.
That's brown.
You can't tell from the screen.
That's a
It's
wig.
red.
That's fake.
Google it
That's
yourself.
fake. That's fake.
The chair is
Fake
red. The hair is brown.
I mean, look at this diva.
That's AI. That's AI.
Mike's so excited. Let's get back to Mike killing off more characters.
Yes.
Like
So, where were we? Hit the mic drop. So
We can do that.
oh yeah, let's hit the mic drop.
Do it. Set me up even more. Set me up even more.
Hey, we already have. If this
I
leak
got a
is,
new one too.
Ooh.
Well, it's that time again for Mic Drop. Predictions, hot takes, galactic consequences, and who's not making it out alive.
Beautiful.
Let's do it.
So, where were we?
You
Amy
killing
Adams.
people.
Yes. So, Amy Adams. Imagine this for a second. Opening scene: epic lightsaber duel in a muddy forest or something like that, a swamp, and she dies, handing her son this lightsaber. And we all recognize the lightsaber because it's freaking Mara Jade's that's being sold at Galaxy's Edge right now. So we all recognize the lightsaber. The rest of the movie, you're thinking, what is going on? Is this child Luke's? Is this child a Skywalker? What is happening here? If that, like, they may not even say her name. Because if he's like mom, he's not going to be like Mara Jade. You don't call your mom their full legal name. So he's going to be like,
you
Mom.
don't.
Yes, you are correct. If we don't get her name, but the lightsaber is all we need, like then people will start to go, what is happening here? Obviously not everybody's going to even recognize that lightsaber, but to the hardcore fans who are watching the first 5 minutes of a movie where Amy Adams is on screen, this legendary actress, and she dies, you're like, oh my God, Amy Adams is dead. Wait, is that Mara Jade's lightsaber? And then the rest of the movie, you're going crazy. It also, as Nick brought up earlier, Simon Kinberg's trilogy, the latest from that is that it is going to work as an episode 10, 11, and 12. The only way that works in a continuation of a Skywalker saga is with a Skywalker. And no offense to Rey, she's not one. So, at least by blood. So, in order to continue the Skywalker bloodline, Ben Solo's dead, Luke Skywalker's dead, Leia is dead, Anakin, of course, is dead, Shmi dead, unless somehow Shmi Skywalker returns. The only way to continue that would be Luke's child if Mara Jade hands her lightsaber to this Flynn Gray character, and then Flynn Gray becomes the main character of a new trilogy, episode 10, 11, 12, because it's the continuation of the Skywalker saga, because it's Luke Skywalker's son!
Exactly.
I made my point.
That's what I was going to say.
Word for word. So Mara Jade has to die in the opening of the movie in order to set up a new trilogy.
Yeah, I love it. I can't wait for her to die. It's great. Wouldn't it be awesome if she died?
That's what this segment's about. Come on.
Jeez,
we got to start killing people off.
Let me get a load of this guy.
But I think that you're right. That could be cool if she does. I mean, I love her. I think she's great. I think they brought the lightsaber back for a reason. But if she dies in the first scene there or whatever, we could go back and get some more from that, which would be cool. But if you're talking about 10, 11, and 12, is this after? Is that going to be after the sequels, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah,
So that'll
because
be interesting to see too.
well, the time jumps between trilogies, like the prequels to originals is 20 years. The originals to the sequels is 30 years. So who knows how long this jump between our next trilogy is going to be? It could be another 30 years.
And Grogu would still be there.
Yeah, 100%.
I
Which
think
is
I also think I'm going to put it up there right now that if this is true that Simon Kidberg's trilogy is 10, 11, 12, I really think that one of the tenets of those episodes, it's not going to be a 3-episode or 3-movie thing, but I really do think they're going to probably integrate the Hunt for Ben Solo into that story, which could move up the timeline of when it occurs significantly, depending on the situation.
Now, what if Grogu's first words are Mara Jade?
His first words are going to be Poncho when he meets Cal Kestis.
Yeah, I need to get myself one of those.
He'd just be like, "Sup, Cal? Remember that
You
time?
know him?
Yeah, remember that time in the Jedi Temple?
Yeah.
I mean, they know each other.
They go way back.
Yeah."
Cal's first words are like Grogu, and they just have this huge hug and they start crying.
And then they both die.
I mean, how
Immediately.
kind of a sidebar, but like, wouldn't it be a nice little moment that only we and the people in the chat would know about if Cal shows up and like meets Zeb and has a little moment, because Zeb is a very rare species that was also Cal's master.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Oh, yeah, I
That would
forgot
be
about
crazy.
that.
Yeah.
It's not an if, it's a when. When are we gonna get Cal?
It's actually really funny because one of my friends who I went to see The Mandalorian and Grogu with, he has never seen Rebels. So he recognized Zeb and was like, he recognized him from the Jedi games because he's played Jedi Fallen Order. And he's like, isn't that Cal Kestis' master? I was like, no, but kind of.
What are you trying to say? They all look the same?
I'm like, wait, let me remind you that master died, and this is Zeb Aurelius.
This is the mic drop segment. Okay, we are killing people during this.
And Mike, where's your water jug? Nick's got his.
I'm letting Nick have it for today. I honestly thought at one point that was a jug of milk today, which would have been
I thought
crazy.
it was too. The lighting made it look very milk-esque.
Yeah,
that'd be a tough challenge.
You can do it. I believe in you.
Yeah,
I just start sweating.
In the milk sweats. I will say the first, we haven't even gotten through the entire leak, but the first part of the leak talking about Mia Goth being a Force user, warrior type character who's sort of working on her own, working for this warlord played by Matt Smith. It doesn't seem like what we kind of all were assuming, that Matt Smith and Mia Goth would be the setup for the future of the new villains of the galaxy. It doesn't feel like she's the next Palpatine or the Grisk or the Vong or anything like that. So it does feel like this movie will be a sort of standalone film, with these being the sort of Kira / Dryden Voss villains. But it does not, and maybe it will set up the future villains, but it does not set up our future villains for the post-sequel world.
Right. Well, and I think that'll be cool too. Again, we're talking mic drop. So you have these two big actors in Matt Smith and Amy Adams that come in, and maybe Matt doesn't die, but it sounds like he's not going to be there very long. So you bring two of these big actors in, and it is almost like a Rogue One, where not many of the people here are gonna get out alive in this movie. There's going to be a few that will go on, that will be able to, continue the saga with. But to bring those two in, and then just for that short amount of time, is still pretty cool, I think, to bring those big actors in like that, to have them play major characters in the story. Maybe not in the movie, but major characters that we're probably going to get a more story on, especially if it's Mara Jade, and see how much we have to bring in. And that's the interesting thing too. If they bring Mara Jade in to canon, and we're going to have some sort of story for her at some point, whether it's going to be through a canon book, or through a comic or something like that. But you can't bring somebody like that in, I don't think, and just drop them in and then kill them. And then we don't have another story for it. So something, if she is Mara Jade, we're definitely going to get some more backstory for her, because we're going to have to see how that affects, if it does end up being, Luke's wife or something like that, and they continue with the legends and bring it into canon, that would be pretty awesome. But we're going to have some sort of backstory for her, and I think that'll be interesting once it comes to fruition.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I'm trying to think of an example of where a character has been introduced and killed off right away, sort of. And the two that came to mind were Fennec Shand. Although she doesn't die, she does get brought back by Boba Fett. But while we think she's dead, she appears in a prequel in The Bad Batch. So, like, they've done that with her, but they did bring her back. The other one is Lor Santeca at the opening scene of The Force Awakens. The old man who gives them the plans to Luke Skywalker, the map to Luke Skywalker. Because the dialogue between him and Kylo Ren is like, they know each other. He obviously helped raise Ben, and him and Luke were sort of best pals. So he's like, look what you've become. He's like, look how old you've become, all that dialogue. At some point when we get this Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple stuff, Lor Santeca is going to be a character who's heavily involved in that. So you'll recognize him as the old man who died in the first episode or first scene of The Force Awakens. And that would be a similar thing. Like Mara Jade dies in the first scene, but you get backstory stuff with her in earlier stuff.
Well, and you have him in Shadow of the Sith as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit more background, and we get a little bit more of his character in that, which would be cool. If they did that with Amy as well. So were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I think what you just said about like Max von Sydow, the actor for Lor Santeca, like all kinds of theories about what he was going to be, right?
Yep.
Turns out, unless
Dead.
you've read books, dead, don't know what his name is from the movie. Kind of what Holly's saying here. Amy Adams could be like nobody that's a big deal, though, right? Like we don't know, we never find out. But I think with the Matt Smith thing, I think him being in the movie so little might actually make me bet more that he could be teeing something up for the future, because he could just appear as like the menacing sort of like, if you go into this movie without like picking apart every detail like we are, you're not going to know like that there's a big bad in the lurch played by Matt Smith, right? Yeah. And he could be like, I know it wasn't everyone's cup of tea, but he could be like the Snoke in this, or the Maul in Solo, like that sort of thing, where he's, he didn't film very long, but I don't think they'd like bring him in as her boss and kill him, or like not make him important, and maybe they do, but I think Mia Goth will get a lot of screen time, and then you find out there's a bigger fish, and Matt Smith only needs a few sequences for that, and then that could carry over, because I think more importantly they're like setting up what's going on generally with Starfighter with a cool standalone story that then gives you sort of like a little bit of ramp into whatever the next trilogy could be.
Yeah, I agree with you. As much as this is the mic drop segment, I don't think Matt Smith will die in this movie. He's been in too many talks to join Star Wars for so long that I don't think he'll be a one and done guy. Having said that, reading this leak, it does just remind me so much of George Lucas's original idea for the sequel trilogy, which was Maul and Talon being the rulers of the underworld and sort of just being the main villains of a sequel trilogy. Matt Smith being a infamous warlord and Mia Goth working for him and a Force user sounds very similar to that. So maybe this is a version of that we're getting now in the post-sequel world, but I don't know. I definitely think Matt Smith has a bigger role than we're led to believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. I want to finish reading the rest of this leak, so I'm going to go ahead and close this segment out.
Warning! Not everyone survives the galaxy.
Warning! Not Nope, that's not it. I had an outro for that too.
That's not
Warning!
There it is.
Warning!
That's
Warning!
a wrap on this edition of Mic
and
Drop.
that's a wrap. All right, guess we're done with the show. Rob's calling
Predictions
it.
are in. Now let's see who survives the galaxy.
So, all right. So, to finish this up, the young man merges to escape the planet and finds his uncle in the cantina. At first, their relationship is tense, and I think that is what happens with pretty much 90% of the characters that we see in any movie. You know, when they first meet, you know, maybe they don't get along as well, but you know by the end that they're going to be, you know, buddy with each other. But I think that's pretty cool. So the relationship is tense, but everything points to the classic Star Wars, you know, dynamic, which I think is cool. And that's what we have here. That's what we had in Mandalorian and Grogu, that, you know, everybody's, you know, oh, this and that, but it's a fun story. You have some action, you have some heroes, you have some bad guys. All of this stuff comes to fruition in Star Wars, no matter what they bring out, you know, whether it's the prequels, the sequels, the originals, all of these things. And I think that's really cool that they're going to continue with this, whether it's a one and done with these, but like Mike just said, I think we're going to still see some of these characters in future movies. But I think that, you know, the leaks that we have for this is very probable. I mean, you know, like Mike said, I forget the name of the guy that had this five something or, you know, but he's been pretty reliable, and these all make sense. That's the thing. You know, these all could come to fruition.
I do like the idea that they meet a cantina, very Star Warsian of them. But the Ryan Gosling character is an interesting one to me because the description of his character is not like, yeah, he's a starfighter. Obviously, the name of the movie is called Starfighter. But to describe him as a washed-up ex-pilot who's a former war hero, and then to say that he's haunted by the ghosts of his past, like, sure, as a pilot, you probably kill a bunch of people, but to be haunted by the ghosts of your past kind of makes you think that he did something bad. And it made me immediately think that he was a First Order pilot, not a Resistance pilot. And maybe he was a war hero for the bad guys, and now he's having to sort of deal with that. Like, the First Order has fallen. The galaxy has sort of come to peace, whatever peace can look like in the galaxy. And he might be, and not like his fault, but he might have been a First Order pilot. We learned that the First Order pilots and stormtroopers are stolen or abducted at birth. And like Finn, they don't even have names. His name's FN2187. So it could be the case that Ryan is a former First Order pilot, and that's why he's haunted by the ghosts of his past, because he did some pretty terrible things when he was with the First Order. And having him be a washed up ex-pilot, it sounds very, you know, cantina, all that stuff. It sounds very Han Solo-esque, and I'm sure he's going to be very much like, I mean, Ryan Gosling is like the new age Harrison Ford anyway, so it's going to be very much like that anyway.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a cool thing where he could have flown for the bad guys, which is pretty
Why not?
neat.
We're always looking at the heroes in the First Order in particular, like those people, as we've learned from Finn and we learned from the other stormtroopers that turned in The Rise of Skywalker, they were put there against their will. Like, they had no choice in this. The stormtroopers, they signed up. The clones, they were bred for it. These people were abducted at birth or at a young age to join the First Order, so they had no choice in the matter. So seeing the fallout of that from a perspective of Ryan Gosling in a Star Wars movie as an ex-pilot would be so cool.
Would that line up? Like, do we think he's actually Flynn Gray's uncle? In which case, like, would Amy Adams' character like ever have known him if he was abducted at birth and that sort of thing?
If she's older, then you would assume so. And if she's a Force user, then you'd assume that she might be able to sense him or something like that. And if he's, again, if they're related, brother and sister, and she's a Force user with a lightsaber, then you have to assume the reason he's such a great pilot is because he probably has the Force too. He just doesn't know it, or something along those lines. But to the leaks do emphasize that Flynn and Ryan have never met before. Even though they're uncle and nephew, they've never met before. So she is sending him to his uncle that is stranger to him. So I don't know how that works, but maybe it's because she doesn't really know her brother either because he was taken by the First Order.
That's a good point. That would be pretty
I like
awesome.
it.
Mhm.
It would also add a cool dynamic to Ryan's character, just in terms of him having to deal with that and him being the bad guy at one point in his life. I'm watching The Punisher right now, so it reminds me very much of Frank Castle and having to deal with all the horrible things that he did.
Yeah. Watch this.
Oh my gosh.
The office of Pam is like the exact same picture. This is the
Sorry, I just had to do it. All right. I think that's about it for the rumors on that one. You got anything else on that, Mike?
The only other thing was Ryan Gosling's character was codenamed Damon at first. The role was initially written for an early 30s actor before Ryan Gosling was cast. Damon is a renowned pilot and a war hero whose fame has made him a known person. So he's known in the galaxy, I guess, though he wishes to escape the spotlight and live anonymously. And then there was one more about Mia Goth's character. Hang on. Oh, Mia Goth's code name was Kaya or Kia. The code name existed before she was cast. The Mickey Madison rumors were true. Sean Levy personally met with her and specifically envisioned her for the role from the start. So he wrote the role for her and her only. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
And that will be now we just got to wait another year to figure this out.
Yes, but no. Like a teaser trailer could confirm a lot of those things very quickly. And a teaser trailer could be coming very soon. We've talked about this before, but the sequel trilogy movies got trailers a lot sooner in advance before the movies, like a year in advance before the movies. And it's not the Mandalorian and Grogu. We already know those characters. They're already household names. These are brand new people. We have to get introduced to them a lot earlier so that people are like, okay, I'm excited for this movie. So I would honestly assume a teaser trailer is at D23 in August at the very latest. I wouldn't be surprised if we got one even sooner.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome if we got that. Because again, it would help for the excitement for it for next year. Because everybody already knows, if they follow Ryan Gosling, they know that he's going to be in a Star Wars movie. So there's already some hype for it. I also think there's hype for it because they're trying to at least put it out there as a standalone, sort of like Rogue One. I forget, did we know when Force Awakens came out, did we know that it was going to be a trilogy?
Yeah.
Yes. It was like the first thing they announced when they bought the company.
It was going to be a trilogy, and then they also announced all the Star Wars anthology films, which became known as A Star Wars Story, which now we don't put that on anymore. And, who knows how many, but like Obi-Wan and Boba Fett were supposed to be a Star Wars Story films that got stretched out into, 6 or 8 part series.
Yeah.
But,
well, and along with Skeleton Crew, there's rumors about an Obi season 2.
Mm-hmm.
There's you McGregor's always trying to push that.
Yeah.
Well, to that point though, Guillermo del Toro was sort of signed on to do, or maybe not signed on, but he was going to do a Jabba the Hutt, or not Jabba, but Hutt movie. Maybe it was Jabba, I forget. But it was about the Hutts. And what's really funny is how much Hutts are in the Mandalorian and Grogu, and that Jon Favreau revealed that he would go to Guillermo del Toro's house after days of filming, and they would just talk about Hutts and like just plan out how Hutts would move and all this. It's so cool.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's your job. Just go talk about this and figure out what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So, well, we got about 20 minutes left, so let's get into this.
All right, everyone, it's time for Jedi Chat Q&A, the segment where your questions become the conversation, whether it's Star Wars theory, rumors, canon debates, or deep cut lore. Let's see what you got. Put your questions in the comments now.
Yes. So this is the spot where actually I think we could probably go for almost anything at this point. Is there specific questions you guys want to talk about tonight, or are we open for
who would win in a fight?
I take Sabine over everybody.
Every week.
Yeah, of course.
I can start this off because I just saw earlier today Leslie Headland, and we've made it an hour and 40 minutes talking about the Acolyte and how she wants to continue the story. She specifically said, we did a lot of stuff that we wanted to explore, including tying into the lore, into the sequels with the Knights of Ren, obviously, getting into who exactly Manny Jacinto's character was, connecting with Jedi Master Vanestra Rowe, and connecting with Plagueis, and then his connection to the other sequels established things. So, obviously, we like the Acolyte quite a bit here, but do you guys think it's at all possible, I guess, for the Q&A section here, to get a season 2 of the Acolyte, or more realistically, a continuation of some type of that story? I will also add that a list of the most in-demand Disney Plus projects ever was released the other day, and the top 5 were Mando Season 1, Daredevil Born Again Season 1, Mando Season 2, Mando Season 3, and The Acolyte at 5.
That's awesome.
I'll start. I'm gonna say no way on God's green earth are they going to do anything unless it's like just Plagueis and stuff. But like they're not gonna call it anything Acolyte. They're not gonna do anything. They're gonna do everything they can to not be associated with Acolyte because they can't take the publicity. They don't need the bad heat. And already, there's so many positive things about Mando and Grogu, but there's a lot that's not, of the people that are super loud and annoying about Star Wars. Can you imagine if they bring that back? No, we'll never hear the end of it.
Well, you could do a Plagueis show, and it would still continue Chimera at least.
Yeah, that would be fine, but I don't think they will mention a word of Acolyte. They can do it, but I think just because of that, I hope we get something with them, but I kind of feel like we're not going to.
Yeah, I agree with Derek. I think that's a 0% chance of Acolyte Season 2 as a title. But I do think, as we've talked about, they put a lot of effort into High Republic stuff, probably hoping that the Acolyte would be like the first foray into it, and then kind of dropped it. I think there's more that they at least have shelved for High Republic stuff, and more specifically for the whole audience, High Republic leading into the prequel time. So that 100 years that the Acolyte starts off. And I think maybe the characters and the situations of the Acolyte could be the springboard to whatever the next show is, End of the High Republic, or like you said, a Plagueis show. Or if it's true that the Stranger is the first Knight of Ren, I mean, that'd be a good hook. Knight of Ren show, how they start, that sort of thing. And it involves the characters and the scenarios from the Acolyte, because I saw a video of our boy James Lucino at a convention recently, being interviewed by somebody and saying how he really enjoyed speaking with Leslie Hyland, and getting down in the nitty-gritty of what could be done with that. And he's bummed, that they're not going to do it. So I don't think they're going to drop the High Republic thing completely, and I don't think they had everything figured out either. So I think if there's enough demand, there will be an adjacent thing. But Derek's right. There's no way they'll rebrand the Acolyte again.
No,
that's done.
Yes, I
quit
agree.
trying to make fetch happen.
Yeah.
Well, I'm never going to. So, well, no, to that point, I agree with you. To continue with Plagueis is the best bet, because even people who are anti the Acolyte are the same people who really want a Plagueis story.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go down that route, you can please both audiences, continue a certain point of the Acolyte story, or even have a time jump and explain what happened with that story. But either way, you can give us a Plagueis show and deal with all that stuff, and you can again still bring over James and have him be in at some sort of level in development in creating Plagueis and bringing him into live action and having. The only problem with the Plagueis show is having Plagueis be the main character because he's an alien and he's CGI, and it'd be really hard to do that. Not to say that Grogu's not an alien, but that would be something very difficult when he's supposed to be this very powerful Sith Lord doing all these crazy things. Having him be the main character of a show would be pretty difficult. And I think that's why they did the Acolyte the way that they did, with intention to give more Plagueis, because he's not going to be the main character, but he'll be involved.
I think if they like rebranded it in a way that's more like, because the Acolyte got us all thinking like Sith stuff, you know?
Yeah.
If it was a little more on the nose of like Sith stuff, it still can deal with, you know, the Jedi ignoring it or not knowing about it, can still deal with whatever chimera the stranger it actually is. Like, is he an Acolyte? Is he running around saying that he's Sith, and that's something that pisses off Darth Plagueis and kind of throws him off? Like, what's the deal? And that can be teed up for, like you said, the fans. Most of the fans who like review bomb the Acolyte would die over a Plagueis show.
Right.
So
Well,
if it was, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and that kind of brings up a little segue and kind of what Max Rebo said. Would they be able to write a proper Plagueis story? And that makes me think: is anything ever going to be good enough for these people that claim to be OG Star Wars fans that hate everything at this point? Will anything be good enough anymore?
No, as long as unless they sell the company back to George Lucas, and even then it probably won't. But
no, because they hated the prequel
trilogy. Yeah, so there's a 0.0% chance.
Yeah.
Any Star Wars project, even if it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, will get haters. There's no, when you're this big of a franchise, it's never gonna not.
It's always
have
the people
hate.
that claim they love it the most. I'm like,
Yes.
no, you don't.
No, you hate it the most. Well, I would, you know, if they want to do the most George Lucasian thing ever, just fucking put it out. Acolyte 2. You know, he didn't honestly, George Lucas does not care what the four of us think.
100%.
And no, he cares what I think.
Yeah, true. And he just went with it. And like, kind of the difference between an artist and a corporation, right? Like, ironically, the people who say Disney like spat in my face, like they really care what you think, like to a fault, you know? And shit, if we're going the George Lucas way, it's put it out, do it.
Yeah, if Disney owned Star Wars back when the prequels came out, The Phantom Menace would not have 2 sequels.
Yeah. You know,
just wouldn't.
Other questions? Do you
Clone
think
Wars would have never happened?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. After the movie bombed? Nope.
Yeah. No. Do you think Anakin, played by Hayden, will return to the films?
Films? Interesting. I'm gonna say no, just because whenever you hear Dave Filoni talk about it, he's like, Anakin is George's character. So whenever I use him, it's sort of sparingly. And I think he'll be in Ahsoka season 2, but on Peridia. So when the films come around, I don't think he'll be involved.
I agree.
Yeah, I think the chance to do it was Rise of Skywalker in the final thing, and that has passed. So if we do a special edition one day and you want to throw everybody in behind Rey, that'd be cool, and that would count. But,
honestly, special edition the fuck out of the sequel trilogy. I'm for it. I'm down for it.
I'm all about that.
Yeah. But I agree. I don't think I think we got our biggest moment of him from 2022 to 2023. I think it's probably done.
We're going to see him at Celebration, I'm sure, though.
Yeah.
I'm not, because I couldn't get tickets because of scalpers.
Do you think they're going to fix that?
No.
How do you? Like, you can't.
No.
Yeah.
I think that it's such an embarrassment at this point that it's happened twice and worse the second time. I mean, that's kind of the hill I'm dying on, is like, I don't know that I'll ever go to one at this point. Or if I want, they're going to have to do a lot to repair it. I'm so angry. Like I was supposed to go to Japan for my 40th birthday and couldn't get tickets, so I didn't go.
Dang.
That really sucked.
Yeah.
And this one hurt even more. I was like, "Yep, great."
Shout out Lucasfilm.
Just make the celebration capacity like 10 million. God.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do this.
So we're gonna have to have a new segment with Nick and Mike dropping the F-bomb.
Oh
So-
yeah. Whoops.
Hey,
So don't
by
fucking do it
by-
again, okay?
there's 3.
Hey, wait,
by,
wait,
by
wait.
YouTube standards, you can have 4.
Yeah.
Oh, we're done.
So you got 3. So fuck.
So it's like you're watching a PG-13 movie. You get 1 at least.
Right, exactly.
That's how I say it.
There you go.
Exactly. I saw one other.
One
There was another
apiece.
question up here. I forget what. Well, I wouldn't be able to write proper. Oh, yeah, we talked about that. That was it. The one with Plagueis. Yeah, I think they'll be able to write a decent Plagueis story. And for my answer on that, yeah, I also agree with all you guys. They're not going to do an acolyte. They're going to do something with Plagueis and the Stranger, I think. And like you were saying, Mike, you can't have Plagueis as a main character, but you can have Manny as a main character. You can have the Stranger as a main character, and then go from there. And we see a little bit of.
Yeah.
A little bit of Plagueis, which would be fantastic, and then with the powers that he had in the Acolyte, it was just so great to watch him fight, and they have to bring him back, I think, for something, and I don't want to see it in a book or in a comic books, or a novel. I want to see it in either live action or in a movie somewhere,
What about it
which
in
I
a
think
game?
would be fantastic.
Ooh, you saying a game?
In a game.
game.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
what's
and-
interesting about the Acolyte is I think it's going to age so well. Like it's going to be one of those things that people are like, wait, why doesn't this have a second season? When obviously you watch, especially that 5th episode in the lightsaber duels. I made a video the other day of a top 10 lightsaber duels list, and I was guessing them or whatever. And somebody in the comments was like, I hated the Acolyte, but that lightsaber duel is awesome. Like,
Well, and
No.
like Derek, you said it. Was it last week when we were talking about Mandalorian and Grogu? Like most of the time, we imbue like what we imagine it to be, rather than like taking the story for what they're trying to do.
Mhm.
Like it's a very important thing with like taking in this stuff is like knowing what they're trying to do with it really matters, because if it's then it doesn't work. If you're putting like what you've done for years over what they're trying to do, it doesn't work. And I think that, like, I saw the other day a tweet that was like, the Acolyte has a nonsensical story but cool lightsaber fights. I was like, I would actually say that like its biggest plus is that it really took some swings with a very multifaceted story that was hard to do in 8 episodes and couldn't be done. Obviously, it's open-ended. So like, and if anything, you could say like the execution or some of the visuals are inconsistent, like that sort of thing. But even then, like what the Acolyte did really well was it was trying to do this sort of interwoven half mystery, but also like a lot of Star Wars lore at once in different ways. And we leave the story with what's going on with Chimera, Plagueis. May and Osha are like very useful vehicles for a story going each different way. Vernestra and everything going on with her and the Stranger. The Jedi Council versus the Republic. Like a lot of very, very Star Warsy things that were very, all of that underneath this whole like who's killing Jedi. And finding, who killed all the witches at Brendock. Like it was very busy in a great Star Wars way. And I don't know, I just went on a rant. But
Well,
like
I think Max is right though. The Acolyte's like a High Republic young adult novel. Like
Yeah.
it very much fits in the theme of those novels.
yeah.
yeah.
I think that's great. I love those novels.
Yeah.
I think
I
they're really
do.
great.
I agree with him, Max Rebo as well. They teed it up for like years as a murder mystery, and we knew right away kind of what happened.
Yeah.
It was more interesting of like the other things were interesting about the show.
Yeah, true. Well, the murder mystery aspect is, I guess, not for us as it is for the Jedi. And as you mentioned too, our mystery, I suppose, is who killed all the witches and what happened on Brendok, which you don't find out until the second to last episode. So it is still a mystery.
And
the
what
entire
do we use?
time.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, what do we use to burn witches? More witches.
But it is a great sort of, I guess, tragedy, for lack of a better word, for Master Soul. Like, he's made this wrong decision, and again, the entire 8-episode arc and doing it in 8 episodes and setting up a future for that story. Like, that's the Soul stuff in season 1, because he's, of course, dead by the end of the first season. But to have the first episode open with this girl who's a mech neck, and then her former master coming and them having this very good relationship, and ending with her force choking him to death as she bleeds a kyber crystal in her hand, like, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Seems like a pretty good show. Maybe it should get a second season.
Not gonna happen.
It'd be awesome if
Would
at like
be
Star Wars
nice.
Celebration next year, it was like, we got this great story with Thrawn coming. We got a trilogy, Simon Kinberg. We got all this and that and this and that. And the Acolyte season 2. And this and that and this and that.
That would maybe kill Star Wars. Chewie,
Maybe.
Yeah. Hey, come here.
Chewie's like, you guys
All
talking
right.
Star Wars?
Are you guys talking about me?
Little bit.
So,
Hey, Chewie is alive in the post-sequel world. Let's not forget.
He is.
all right, let's what are we doing here? Let's wrap this one up. Let me see what we got here. Yeah, that's it. Well, that wraps up this edition of Jedi Chat Q&A. If we missed your questions, drop them in the comments and they may appear in the next episode. Until then, may the Force be with you. That's right. So we are coming up on 2 hours. I want to talk about a couple things that we have coming up. I know you guys have heard me talk about it. We're very close to doing our next interview with Vanessa Marshall, which is pretty awesome. I've been in contact with her, so as soon as I find out more about that, I'll let you guys know. I just sat down with this gentleman here in the studio, which was awesome. Chris has some really cool stories in reference to Kenobi, Mando, Ahsoka, being C-3PO for 20 years now. He's been doing C-3PO for 20 years.
That's crazy.
So it's pretty cool. And what a great human being he is. We had him on here before during the strike. So, he wasn't able to talk about a lot of things, or at least name, different things that he had worked on, unfortunately. But we got some really cool questions that we talked about, and it's about 2.5 hours. So it's really awesome. I'll probably break it down into 2 different videos, but that'll hopefully be out next week. And then we have a few more I can't announce yet, but we have 2, possibly 3 more actors in Star Wars, or actresses in Star Wars, that we could be sitting down with and having an interview with. So stay tuned for that stuff, and we'll let you know on social media. I did drop a short in reference to Chris, so go check that out. It's about a minute long, and he talks about walking out onto the stage as C-3PO. So it's a cool story, and there's a whole bunch more where that came from. So appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah. Can we pull up the Vanessa Marshall picture again?
We can.
Can we bring back Santa Ron, please? Can we do that? Everybody in the chat, tell Ron to bring the beard back. We need Santa Ron by Christmas.
My wife does not like that. Usually, I will start growing it in October again. But
right.
I will start growing in October. But it doesn't get that long until usually like March or so. But yeah,
we need Santa Ron.
Yeah,
with a lightsaber. Oh my gosh, this would be great.
it is pretty cool because I do have a Jedi costume
with the robe and everything. And when I have my beard, it's a pretty badass
life-saving miracle.
But no, we had a bunch of people on here again tonight. Thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate it. This show, we would still do it, but it wouldn't be as much fun without you guys in the comments. So thank you for coming on, putting your comments in there, your questions. Listen to us, 4 of us talk about Star Wars for 2 hours. Don't forget about Mike tomorrow, 2 p.m. A guy who loves Star Wars. I'm sure he'll have a bunch of new stuff coming out that he'll be talking about. So go check him out, 2 p.m. Eastern time. And he will be on. And then again on Saturday, we will be back again next Wednesday. Anybody got anything before we get out of here? No? All right. Cool. Well, it was a great stream, a great podcast. Some rumors and stuff for Starfighter, which is always fun. The next project that we know of, I think that we're going to get a Tales before the end of the year. Who knows what it'll be about, but I think we're going to get something in place of Ahsoka, and then we got Ahsoka to look forward to in Starfighter. So until next week, thank you guys for being here. May the Force be with you, and we'll see you guys on the next Star Wars Jedi Chat.